Hi, this is Zen Modeling, and this is a tour of my workshop. This first segment is a quick 360-degree scan of it, and after that I'll focus in on the areas I spend most of my time fabricating and the custom-built cabinets I had built to fit it all. The first section being the area I do my machining. So the cabinet you're looking at is what I call my machining bench. I blueprinted the plans for it and gave them to the cabinet maker, and he built it according to my specs. And the first machine we'll focus in on is my Sherline 2000 series mill. It is complete with the DRO, that's this box you see here. And this DRO enables me to dial in within a fraction of a millimeter the X, Y, and Z axis. The attachment circled in yellow is my rotary table, and it enables me to machine many of the complex parts I make, like a wheel for instance. And it's currently attached to a 45-degree angle plate. Next machine that's important to me cranking out the custom model parts is my 4000 series Sherline lathe, also complete with the DRO, which is a digital readout. And I forgot to mention that it tracks my RPMs. Here is where my design for this custom machine cabinet pays off. It's my ultra organization of every attachment, cutting tool, and measuring device for the complete machining process. If you're curious what's the missing item here, it's the rotary table that I'm currently using on the mill. This drawer contains most of the measurement tools and common tools used for loosening and tightening the machines. Next drawer is all the cutting tool attachments and the end mills, which is what's used for shaping the aluminum, brass, custom parts I'm knocking out. Now this next drawer was purposely planned and placed for my laptop when I eventually go full CNC. But for now, it makes a perfect spot for marking tools and odds and ends that I need. Next drawer is more cutting tools and some tool holding attachments, followed by this next drawer has common size brass that I use for my 125 scale parts, and the next drawer same as the common size aluminum, as well as all my drill bits and some other placements. Now I did leave out the two large bottom drawers on each side of the cabinet. They both contain various cutting oils and lubes used in the process. So as we pan down to what this extremely heavy cabinet rests on is a set of hybrid leveling casters. I've zoomed in for you here so you can see it. It's got a dial that you turn, which actually picks up that section off the ground and keep it in a resting spot. I wanted to point out something special I started a few months ago, and it's my sticker swap tile. If you send me your shop sticker, I'll place it on one of these tiles that I have lined up on the inside of my cabinet. This giant wall mural that sits behind my cabinet, well, that's been my muse for the past 3 years, 3,500 hours of build time. Let's take a live look at it. And we're back. But you see what motivates me now. Some of the other my shop wall art are pics of Leah and I over the years, as well as many of the other NHRA favorites of mine that I've had the pleasure to meet. And before I circle back around to the next area of the shop, you just experienced your first ADHD rabbit hole I've taken you through. I own a pair of 3D printers and a clean and cure station, which sit on another custom cabinet I designed and had built for storage. This cabinet is where I keep my paint, plus any of my non-caustic type chemicals that I use for my nickel plating and photo etch process. The next custom cabinet I'll do a review on in my shop is my PaintBooth. So this is another custom design cabinet I had built, and it's for my Paasche PaintBooth. This cabinet was set up to fit the Paasche booth perfectly with a set of special drawers. The bottom drawer for the air compressor and storage, and then the top drawer section is special. It's special that it has a double set soft close rail system with the bottom area for my airbrush cleaning tools and airbrush parts, and the top split drawer contains my GREX pistol grip airbrushes and remote power on-off switch. I try to keep my area nice and clean all the time here. Keeps the crud out of the paint. You can see I've got plenty of room to clean my airbrushes, etc. This is a little test I like to do to make sure I've got the correct amount of suction on my paint booth. Quickly, I'll point out my disc and belt sander, which has its own vacuum attached to the exhaust. Pan over to the right, and we have my enclosed vented polishing area with my polishing supplies and bandsaw in the storage area underneath. This cabinet sits on some casters that I like to move the cabinet around when I get to polishing sets of parts. So this is an iPhone magnetic base that I have when I film some polishing videos. This enclosure has a very strong suction, similar to the paint booth. Does a great job on pulling dust out. Panning over to the right is my non-machining workbench. It's the one piece that I actually built myself from a kit. It's 6 foot tall and 6 foot wide and 4 feet deep. So center stage, you're looking at the popular Hobby Zone modular storage system that you'll find on many model builders' workbench. I made this short video years ago, and it shows how these different modules attach to each other and what makes this system so popular. Comes out, and those little silver dots, those are magnets. And on each side and on the bottom, where magnets are housed as well, and they all fit. So that does it for the Hobby Zone modular storage system. Next, looking at my perfect size tabletop drill press, complete with a drill press table and vise. I want to point out a few important attachments to this main bench that are somewhat hidden. Speaking of hidden, this is a device that my old racing sponsor from years ago turned me on to when I first got into this hobby. It's called a stat gun. What a stat gun does is it temporarily removes static electricity. In the beginning, I used it primarily for my airbrush painting needs. However, my list of areas I use it for now is in the double digits. I use this polishing wand that is a Dremel type handpiece, but it has the high speed of that I can adjust with this box here up to 20,000 or 30,000 RPMs. It comes in very useful when I'm working on my brass and aluminum machine parts. So as I pan down to the second shelf on the bench, I installed this downdraft table made by Fox, and it does a great job on sucking down what? It's actually a very important section that I use when I'm making my photo etch parts to vent all the caustic fumes that come off that chemicals used. And going up top, we've got my air compressor, and panning to the right, my video screen, which I stream a lot of videos there that I use while we scroll down to my Scroll-Saw. You'll see me using this a lot. I just got this saw, and I'll be using it when I'm doing my sheet brass work. As we pan to the right, we look at one of my newer favorite sections of the shop I call Zen-Lab. In this area of my shop, I've set up some simple chemistry lab equipment and electrical additions that has enabled me to anodize my machined aluminum parts. These are all examples of my machined aluminum parts that were anodized with the equipment you see on this bench. You're looking at a matching air cleaner and valve cover set that I machined in brass and then bright nickel plated with the same basic equipment seen on this bench. This is a set of brass Zumi headers I fabricated, then soldered, and then finished with black nickel plating. Here's a little closer look at some of that equipment that I use. This is a heated magnetic stirring table that many of the chemicals I use and all the processes mentioned. All the storage areas I'm pointing to house many of the chemicals that I use in the chemical process of photo etch, the nickel plating, and the anodizing processes. And finally is the last stop on my workshop tour, and that's this strange looking black and white box. It's a prototype. I had to make some type of enclosure to house my Proxen chop saw. I love this machine. It slices through my brass and aluminum stock up to 1 inch square in size and goes through it like butter with 100% accuracy. The only negative thing about it is it sprays chips out into a 10-foot, 360-degree range like one of those military miniguns. I mean, it sprays chips everywhere. Here's an excellent example. I cut 2 3/8 inch sections of brass, just 2, and look at all those brass chips that went everywhere in a 360-degree circle. I made this prototype from nothing more than some poster board, duct tape, and some magnets. It'll eventually morph into something more like that enclosed polishing vented station that you saw earlier in the tour. When I'm cutting material in this position here, I'm able to keep 98% of all the chips inside the box, so that's good for the prototype. Well, this is the end of the tour. A lot of dreaming, planning, saving, and building went into making this shop. It's been a fluid mission, as you can probably tell. I truly appreciate you checking it out with me.